I'm continuing my reading, and what I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit as I move along. I am currently in the Book of Judges. Of course, reaching the chronological end of Judges. So, this will be chapter 14. In the previous video, chapter 13, we read about the prophesied birth of Samson, and now we will read about him as a young man. As I said in my previous video, his birth would have taken place around the time of Ibzan's judgeship, and now we're probably in the middle or near the end of Abdon's judgeship, when he is a young man, or he's a young adult. He's probably in his late teens, early 20s, somewhere around there. Probably in his 20s, really. Anyways, chapter 14. Samson slays a young lion with his bare hands. He marries a Philistine wife, propounds a riddle, is deceived by his wife, and slays 30 Philistines. Now, I have to just say, I love the stories of Samson. He's a bit of a drunkard and a kind of a hot temper, and he's generally given a bad reputation because of this. I'm not sure that it is fully deserved. It is partly deserved, but I'm not sure it's fully deserved. And so we'll get into it more about it. I do love these stories. These stories are just kind of, they're almost comical. But let's just read here. And Samson went down to Timnath, and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother, and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among all my people, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he sought an occasion against the Philistines, for at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So again, as I mentioned in the last video, the 40-year bondage of the Philistines, the 40 years that Israel was in bondage to the Philistines, covers a number of judgeships. Probably began with during Elon's judgeship, and they're in the middle of the 40 years. They're not at the end. They're in the middle of the 40 years here. Verse 5. Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father and his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. So, I think we all know what's going on here, but remember, Israel's not supposed to be marrying the Canaanites. Now, there is some dispute whether the Philistines at this time were the same Philistines that are the descendants of Canaan. There's some speculation of a second group that became known as the Philistines that were Semitic, but crossed from the Far East and crossed over into Canaan and settled in this area and became known as the Philistines because they took the place, or they conquered the original Philistines and took their place. And I don't know. It's a historical speculation that cannot really be proven, but can't really be disproven. So it's just an odd thing. But either way, they're heathen, they're not of Israel, and they are not followers of God. They worship Dagon, the god of the Philistines. So they are unbelieving, uncircumcised, meaning when he says they're uncircumcised, means they're not of the covenant. And so it's like Samson is basically asking his parents to marry outside the temple. That's the way we would put it in the modern day in the LDS church. He's marrying outside the temple. And his parents are asking him, why can't you just find yourself a wife among the saints? Why do you have to go outside your faith, outside your people? Anyways, here we go. Now, I do have to say one other thing, is that the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. I think that comes up a few other times, and it's almost like Samson is famous for his strength. But there is some issue. Was he always strong? Or was he only strong when the Spirit of the Lord came upon him in this way? There's a little bit of a dispute there. I think it's more likely that he was just natural, he was just strong in general, but that at certain times, his already superhuman strength was augmented when the Spirit of God came, as it says, mightily upon him. Now, that phrase there has a footnote here, First Nephi chapter 7. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the chapter where Laman and Lemuel bind Nephi in the wilderness, and he prays to have his bands loosed. So, again, it shows this idea that at least at times he was augmented by the Spirit. The Spirit made him stronger than he already was. But again, I think he was already very strong, very physically powerful. Anyways, verse 8. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. So now, pay attention to the story of the lion, because it does come up in a little bit. But he killed the lion when nobody was watching. Then he goes down. They propose marriage to this girl. The girl accepts. They go back. After a little while of preparation, he's coming back for the wedding, and the bees have made their beehive in the carcass of the lion. So here we go. Verse 10. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast. For so used the young men to do. And it came to pass, when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If ye can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast, and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 changes of garments. But if ye cannot declare it me, then shall ye give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And they said unto him, Put forth thy riddle, that we may hear it. Okay, the sheets would have been the basic tunic. That's what it says in the footnotes. Linen garments or tunics. Alternate Hebrew translation. So this is the basic thing that people generally wore. The change of garments would have been either the underclothes or more fancy dress. More likely the underclothes is like a full suit. You get 30 changes of the undergarments and the tunics. Anyways. And he said unto them, verse 14. And he said unto them, Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so? And Samson's wife wept before him, and said, Thou dost but hate me, and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father, nor my mother. And shall I tell it thee? And she wept before him the 7 days, while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day, before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. So, what's going on here? Of course, the riddle is referring back to the lion. Out of the eater came forth meat. In other words, out of the carcass of the lion, he got the honey. And out of the strong came forth sweetness. So this is what he's talking about. But, now, the men couldn't figure it out. There were 30 men there, it says. 30 companions. The Philistines sent 30 companions. That's why there was 30 changes of clothing. They couldn't figure it out, and they threatened his wife. They said, if you don't find out the riddle, we're going to kill you and your family. And they accused her of marrying Samson in order to usurp them, take their stuff. So she was under threat. And she just, she nagged Samson until he gave in. Here we go. Verse 19, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. So Samson got mad. He went and killed 30 Philistines, and then went home. He went back to his father's house. Now, his wife should have gone with him. That's one thing he did wrong here. His wife should have gone with him, and he didn't take her. And because he didn't take her, the Philistines kind of assumed that in his anger, he was kind of divorcing her. And so they married her off to somebody else. It says married her to one of his friends, one of his companions. And it seems that the Philistines, they sent down the 30 companions for the wedding feast. And during the feast, they kind of became friends. And then the whole trickery with the riddle, Samson got mad, he leaves, and so one of them marries his wife. Anyways, that's where we leave it, and we'll pick this up in the next chapter.